Hey, fandom. Cowboy Joe back again. We're going to run down the NFC now. The teams that I hate in this NFC.
Yes,
Just know I'm not going to be very kind.
and we're looking forward to that for sure. If you joined us for the AFC, great. If not, check that out as well. That's a separate link. Make sure you check us in the on YouTube. The link should be there. Give us a follow. Give us a subscribe. We love that. Of course, we want to do this for you. And let's start us off here. We'll start with the NFC
Hold on.
East.
Before we
Okay.
start, I
Okay.
want people to check out the Denver segment of the AFC. You're
Uh-oh.
going to see a hater of Elway, which is he who should not be named, to the
Uh,
left of me.
yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that. But anyhow, the NFC East will start us off. Which team you want to go with first?
Let's go for my Cowboys. Come on.
Cowboys. All right, here we go. You got your Cowboys, Mr. Cowboy Joe. Who is your
Emmitt Smith, baby. Come on. Number 22. 22. The man that when T.O. scored that touchdown, what did he do the next play? He scored that touchdown. What did he do? He went right to the star and put that ball right in there.
Yes,
It's
he
my
did.
house. Even though we lost that game, but it's my house.
Yep, Emmitt Smith is my pick as well. I completely agree with you there. Four-time leader in NFL rushing yards in a season. 7 times he had over 300 carries in a season. 15 years he played in the league. 11,000-yard seasons. 8 Pro Bowls. 8 double-digit touchdown seasons. What was the one year he had like 20-something touchdowns? What was that?
It's the year that we opened against the Giants and we scored 5 touchdowns on them.
Okay.
It was the 93 season.
All right, there you go.
No, 95. I apologize. 95.
Okay. I just know they beat my Bills in the Super Bowl not once,
but
twice, and it got worse each time. It was just horrendous, bad memories. But I have nothing but respect for Emmitt Smith.
Great memories in my part.
I'm sure. I have a rug burn still on my knee because of the fact that they lost. Anyway, we're moving on. How about your current favorite Cowboy? Who do you have?
So this is a toss-up because, there's the roster is they have a stacked roster. I could go all the way from, I could go Martin, I could go Tyron Smith, I could go, Jalen Smith, I could go anywhere. And, the guy that since stepping it up for Mr. Announcer Romo, I have to give it to him, even though he's in a contract negotiation right now. I have to give it to Dak Prescott. The man has not stopped winning since he got to Dallas. The man is there. He bleeds the silver and blue. He wants to be a Cowboy. We just got to pay him. And a lot of people questioning his heart. I think that man, compared to him and Wentz, I'd take Dak Prescott any day.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Dak Prescott. I mean, he was a big surprise, coming on. A lot of people were thinking, it's a possibility, but then he shined in preseason. He shined in the regular season. He's been man.
I could have went with Cabo Zeke, but I didn't go to Cabo Zeke because of that debacle.
Yeah. You know what? You know who my pick is? I didn't take Zeke.
Who'd you take?
Looking at the offensive line, I took I took Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, 9 years in the league, 7 times a Pro Bowler. I would say he's one of the best left tackles in the league, especially since the 2010 season. So he's my pick.
Great choice. Like I said, I had a lot of choices. I know this team inside out, so I could have gave it even to the kicker, but we didn't have a good kicker last year, so I didn't want to give it to the kicker.
All right, so there's our Cowboys. Did we talk long enough about them? Do you still want to go a little bit longer? Or
I'm okay with that, because I have my passion. The passion is flowing in me right now with Cowboys, and I can't wait for football to start.
All right, so after the Cowboys, who do you want to roll with here? What do we got? We got the Giants, Eagles, Redskins.
Whatever. I don't care.
All right, let's go to the Giants. I think we all pretty much have the same player here in mind. I chose Lawrence Taylor. How about you?
I didn't choose Lawrence Taylor.
Who'd you take?
I took Dave Meggett.
Rodney Hampton.
Really?
Rodney Hampton's on the board. At least he's there. Phil McConkey's there too. So is Mark Bavaro.
Mark Bavaro was one of my favorite players to watch. So I got, but I did give it to Lawrence Taylor. The man's the linebacker legend, dude. Come on. And we did have a debate about him and Derek Thomas, and I still believe in my hearts of hearts that Derek Thomas would have had better stats if the uncertain circumstances happened to him. But we'll never know.
Do you know how many
battle out in heaven?
Do you know how many defensive players have won the Defensive Player of the Year award and the MVP award?
I think just him.
I think it is just him, and it wasn't the same year. It wasn't the same year, but it was. I'm looking it up now. 1980. Well, actually, he's won the Defensive Player of the Year twice, 1981 and 1982, and he won the NFL MVP in 1986.
Their Super Bowl year.
Their Super Bowl year, right? When they beat the Bills 21-20 or 20-19, whatever it was. I think it was 20-19.
I was rooting for you guys.
10-time Pro Bowler. I mean, the guy he's just phenomenal. Obviously, we already know his level. What does he have? He's got 132 and a half career sacks. Of course, the sacks didn't start until 1982 as an official stat. And I think, what did he come on? 80, 81, something like that. 81. So, he missed a year, but still very impressive. He's 14th overall on the all-time list in sacks. Shoot, I mean, he was just a menace.
He was a great player. No, hands down, he was. So I can't hate on a guy that played that well.
Right. All right. So after the Giants, where are we moving?
Well, hello. We're doing present.
Oh, sorry.
Even
present.
though we know there's no good players in the Giants, so.
Well, no,
there's no need for that.
Present. Sorry, we completely skipped present. I went with Saquon Barkley. 2,000-yard seasons, rookie of the year. We know he got hurt last year with a high ankle sprain that really kind of shut him down. I don't want to say shut him down.
And where's he from?
Penn State.
Exactly.
Penn State. He's your guy. He played 13 games last year, and I actually thought it was less than that. But he played hurt for a lot of those games, and he still had a 1,000-yard season.
He disappointed me last year because I traded for him, and I got nothing because he got injured most of the time. But Saquon is the iconic player there. I give him the props. He's gonna turn around that program. They're not gonna go what did they go this year? 5-11, I think.
Something like that. They're picking fourth in the draft.
I think even less. Yeah,
5 wins. I think it was 5 wins.
So 5-11, I give them to be 7-9 with Saquon Barkley's career because the Cowboys are always going to dominate there. So I'm just spitballing it there. So yeah, Saquon is the guy for the Giants. I don't hate the Giants too much. So Giant fans, as a Cowboy fan, I don't hate you guys too much. Now the other two that are coming up, oh God, I hate them.
All right, moving on to number 1 hate. 1A hate would be Philadelphia. The Eagles.
No, that's hate.
Hate the Eagles.
I'm the Stephen A. Smith hater.
and the Eagles hate the Cowboys. How ironic. All right, so Philadelphia, who's your all-time great there?
I'm going to go with David Akers. I'm going to pick a kicker. Because I've never seen anybody great at Philadelphia.
So here's the thing. My wife is an Eagles fan. I think I've told you this. And her entire family is Eagles fans. They're from the area. And
my condolences, by the way.
Thank you. And her favorite player is number two, David Akers. She has his jersey. She actually got it autographed. And the autograph has since wiped off of the jersey, or it's no longer. She's just worn it so many times, the autograph's not even visible anymore.
You know how bad this sounds, right? That you're saying this. And she's an Eagles fan.
I know.
And Akers is the best-selling jersey in the Eagles. I just okay. It proves my theory. There's nothing comes out of good at Philly but the cheesesteaks.
Oh, you're not wrong about that.
Shots fired, Philly. Shots fired.
All right, so who's your guy? Who's your Philly? Who's your all-timer?
That was my all-timer.
Akers.
Seriously, yeah. There's nobody else I want to see.
All right, fair enough. I went with Reggie White. Reggie White. He played 14 years in the league. 12 years that he was double-digit sack totals, which is crazy. And considering that,
how many years in the Eagles did he have the double digits?
He played with the Eagles, I think, 8 years. I would have looked in. Let me look into this. I'm pretty sure it was. Man, let me look.
Reggie White. Sorry, Packer fans. We really know Reggie White as a Packer and not an Eagle. Really,
no, so he played. Let's see, 14-year or 15-year career. We forgot about Carolina. He played with Carolina for a year. I don't know if you remember that.
Sorry, Packer fans. We only know Reggie.
So he
White
played 8 years with the Eagles, 6 years with the Packers, which is why I went with Reggie White for Philadelphia and not Green Bay. But that's a little foreshadowing. Reggie White's my guy. And here's the thing. He didn't even start until he was 24 years old. He played in USFL for a year. Do you remember the team?
Oh, no, I don't. Because I don't follow Eagle stats.
You don't follow USFL?
No, I don't follow Eagle stats.
Nostalgia? No Eagle stats. Memphis Showboats.
Any player that came out of anywhere and it played in the Eagles, I tend to tune them out. With the exception of there's one player that I probably will give it over Akers, and that's Eric Allen.
Fair enough. He played with the Memphis Showboats. Let's see. He had 198 sacks. 198 sacks. 124 of them came with the Eagles. So there you have it. Reggie White. All right. So who's your current favorite Eagle or best Eagle? Not favorite. Well, you know, favorite
my favorite Eagle
doesn't combine with Eagles, I think, right?
I can't say favorite Eagle in the same sentence. So
right. The
guy I give props to in the Philadelphia organization, I can't say Eagles either, sorry. I'm going to have to give it to the trainers for keeping Wentz standing.
Fair enough. The trainer who keeps Wentz standing, we'll have to skip his name.
Stats is 25 saves, got him healthy in 6 weeks or less, or, kept them out of the game so they could really win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Just so many stats for this guy. This guy is a Hall of Famer in my book.
All right. Fair enough. I went with, first of all, there's 3 people I could have gone with here. I think Fletcher Cox is in that conversation. I think Zach Ertz is in that conversation. And also Jason Kelce, the forgotten Kelce. We forget about him. But ultimately I went with Zach Ertz. I think I
don't know these players. I just follow them by numbers. Can you just tell me numbers?
Numbers? You want to know numbers, do you? Zach Ertz, what do we know about him? He has 3 Pro Bowls each of the last 3 years. He's had, 70 or more catches in each of the last 5 years. I mean, he's just consistent, and it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with him. They've got Dallas Goedert, who is coming on to his own. Ertz, I think, is at the end of his contract this year, if I'm not mistaken.
How funny is it that their tight end is named Dallas?
That is funny. In fact, that he was drafted in Dallas.
And he's a Cowboys fan.
And he's a Cowboys fan. He grew up a Cowboys fan. Mm-hmm. Where did he go? He went to the same school as Carson Wentz, didn't he? North Dakota State, something like that, right? South Dakota State, excuse me.
Carson Wentz went to South Dakota?
Didn't he? Yes.
Did he?
Yes. We might need a little. We might need a
lot.
We may need a little help from our guest viewer here, Michael Stepney, if he knows. But anyway, my guy is Zach Ertz. That's my current guy. So that's Philadelphia. We got one more left here in the NFC East, and that's the Washington Redskins. Lots of guys to pick from here on the in the past, the all-timer. If I could choose, I think it would be Joe Gibbs. But I can't go with a coach, even though you did with John Madden. But that's a little bit unorthodox, maybe I should say. I don't know if that's the right word. But who's your Redskin player?
My Redskin player, all time. I have to give it to the man that played in a short time. His life was taken short, also, Sean Taylor.
I mean, that's a decent pick. I didn't really think of him because he didn't really play that long. But yeah, I mean, he was
dominant when he played.
There's nothing wrong there. There's a lot of players that I could go with here. I mean, if you think about what the Redskins won 3 Super Bowls, they had
Arrington, Penn State alum.
Yeah, Penn State. They had 3 different quarterbacks win a Super Bowl. Do you know who they are?
Rippin.
Yep.
Rippin.
Nope.
And Rippin. Theismann.
Yep.
And Jaworski. No, that's Eagle. Ugh. The Jaws.
Yeah.
Doug
Williams. Doug Williams, the number 3. Yes, that's often forgotten. Doug Williams. So here's who I went with. I went with John Riggins.
Good pick.
Right?
John Riggins was a good pick.
And I look back at John Riggins' career, and he had like 2 really strong years in 1983 and 1984 where he had 38 touchdowns. Remember how I just mentioned that Derrick Henry had 31 touchdowns in the last 2 years? Riggins had 38 touchdowns in 83 and 84 season. He's had 5,000-yard seasons, 4 with Washington, 116 touchdowns in 14 years. Riggins is my guy. We could have gone Art Monk here, but
think about it. Riggins is the guy because who did the halfbacks in the 90s try to emulate? Riggins or Brown?
In the 90s?
Yes. So what did Emmitt Smith broke whose record?
Emmitt. Oh, Peyton. Walter Payton.
And who else is? John Riggins.
Riggins, okay.
So that's every decade we have certain players that emulate. From the Emmitt Smiths, then came the LTs that beat Emmitt's records. And then now people are like the Zeke Elliott's, the Henrys, the Jacobs are chasing the LTs of those days. They're trying to emulate that type of game style. So I think, yes, you're right. Riggins is a trendsetter among the NFL for halfbacks all across because everybody tried to beat his record or try to come close to him.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, there's our old timer Redskins. So that's good. How about your current guy? How about your current guy? Yeah.
Even though he left, Colt McCoy.
What? Come on. You got a couple choices here. Well, not that many, but yeah. In my opinion, it comes down to 2 guys. It comes down to 2 players. Trent Williams, who we haven't even really seen play since 2018, and Ryan Kerrigan. And my pick here was Ryan Kerrigan. He's got he's very people don't think about Kerrigan. He's had 90 sacks in 140 games. He's 7th in sacks among active leaders. 4-time Pro Bowler. Ryan Kerrigan, right there. We'll see what he does in Ron Rivera's defense.
And Trent Williams is the guy for me because he was always he's that guy that held down that offensive line always. Now there is some drama between what happened last year and all these speculations and rumors and talks that happened prior. I don't care about that. The guy was always willing to play. He always wants to play. So hopefully we'll see him this year.
Yeah, sounds good. I hope that we do see him this year. He's definitely one of the best left tackles in the game, in my opinion. We'll see if he still has that. All right, moving on. NFC, you want to call it the Central?
Yeah, let's go Central.
The NFC North, a.k.a. the Central for Joey. How about the Packers? We'll start with them. Who's your all-timer?
Why do we have to start with them?
You don't want to start with the Packers?
Ugh, we already picked them already. Forget it.
Forget about it.
Oh, man.
Give me a forget about it.
Forget about it.
Never gets old. All right. Green Bay. Who's your all-timer?
See, I loved watching Sterling Sharp play. And, if he would have kept playing, I think if that injury didn't come as it did, I think that man would have been Hall of Famer by far. But Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I think Brett Favre is the guy there.
I wish I could do a Madden impersonation because I think it's hilarious when he talks about Brett Favre. Yes, I totally agree with Brett Favre. Played 20 years in the league. He didn't miss a game from 1993 to 2009. 11 Pro Bowlers. He's the only player with 3 consecutive MVP awards, and he's 4th in career touchdown passes and passing yards. Ironically, 4th because he was number 4. So yeah,
and let me tell you something. Another tidbit that you didn't know about Brett Favre is that he actually wore Wrangler jeans even when he did the commercials. So.
Him and what's his name, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mr. Wrangler.
So
easy enough. All right, so we both had Favre. Talk about what a great pickup, a great trade. Do you remember who? I don't even know this. Maybe you do. Maybe someone from our audience here does. Do you remember what Green Bay traded to Atlanta to get Favre? I mean, it couldn't have been much.
I think it was a 5th pick, I think.
Jeez. I mean, what was Atlanta thinking? What was Dan Reeves thinking? Or was it him? It must have been. I
think it was Dan Reeves, yeah.
Right? Anyway. Great job. Was it Ron Wolf, the GM at the time, I think, who made that decision to go and target Favre? So, great pickup. All right, current Packer, who do you got?
Aaron Rodgers.
A-Rod.
I hate this count double check, but he's the man there.
I know. 11 years as a starter. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to the Pro Bowl 8 times. I mean, there's not really too much you can't say negative about Rodgers except for maybe his personality. But yeah, Rodgers, he's my guy as well.
He makes great commercials for State Farm too.
Yeah, those are starting to get a little old, but I'm with you. Okay, let's move on. NFC North. What do you want? You pick. The ping pong
let's
ball
go Detroit
is
Lions. I like the Giants.
Detroit.
The Lions.
Okay, can I go first?
Go ahead.
I mean, how do we not say Barry Sanders here? Right? He played
easy.
10 years in the league. He had 10 Pro Bowl appearances, never had a season less than 1,000 yards. His lowest season was 1,115 yards rushing, 4-time rushing champ. I mean, he went out on top, and he did it the right way. You know, he was the guy who, when he scored, he would give the ball to the ref, wouldn't spike it. It wasn't all about him. Barry Sanders, totally my pick. And he's my favorite running back. Excuse me, Emmitt Smith. But he's my favorite running back to watch all time. Even Walter Payton, Barry Sanders was my guy. How many times did we see Barry Sanders just like find – he would also lose like 4 yards, and then he'd turn around the next play and run for 70. That
was Barry Sanders.
That was Barry Sanders, and we loved him. And it was great to watch. And I just remember, you know, growing up as a kid, watching Thanksgiving games and seeing Barry play, and it was, you know, just great to watch him. So Barry Sanders.
Even though they were getting blown out, Barry made some good moves. But I never understood the head coach always taking them out in the 4th and shorts. Never understood that.
Oh, we just got word here. Packers traded their 1st-round pick for Favre. Ooh, wow. I didn't know it was a 1st-round pick. That's interesting. Okay. I'd say it's still worth it, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thanks for the stat information there. Appreciate that. Michael Stepney on the Johnny on the spot. Preach. All right, so where are we at? Lions, who's your guy? Is it still Sanders?
No, it's not Sanders. I'm going to go with another offensive player that changed the game also, and I'm going Megatron.
Eric Hipple?
Megatron.
Oh, Megatron.
Yeah, not Optimus Prime, Megatron. Dude. Come on, really?
Fair enough. I mean, if it's not Barry, it's Calvin. And to talk about another guy who, you know, finished his career
short. Both of them did. I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to ask him that, but maybe it's something in Detroit. I have no idea. But I mean, if you look and remember his huge season where he almost went for 2,000 yards. He fell short, right? 2012 season, 1,964 yards on 122 receptions, 204 targets. That's insane. But that was also, I think it was the year that Matthew Stafford had over 700 pass attempts when they just couldn't run the ball. When has Detroit ever ran the ball, except for Barry Sanders? But yeah, I mean,
that's another type of team, just like the Dolphins. When they lost Marino, they lost the quarterback. Lions in the same boat. When they lost Barry, they haven't gotten to that running game that they really wanted.
Yeah, And that's a good pick there with Megatron. You can't really go wrong with that. Although, I liked Sanders. You liked Calvin Johnson. Tomato, whichever. It's good that we have a little bit of variety.
Differences.
Here. That's
Yeah,
right.
a little difference.
Exactly. All right. So what do we got? Present Lions. Who's your top present? This is a tough one because there's not very many. There's not very many.
I'm going to go with the guy that's still there, and hopefully this year he comes back to form, and that's Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
I like Stafford as a quarterback. I always liked him. I think he's a hidden gem amongst quarterbacks that not many people talk about. And when he's on his game, he's unstoppable. When he's off his game, he's Trubisky.
Really. Yeah, and he also plays. I think he plays hurt, and when he plays hurt, he's not as effective. And I think we've seen that a lot from him and over the years. But I remember one year. I don't remember what year it was, but he had like some crazy stats. He had 5,000 yards passing and like 40-something touchdowns, and he did not get a Pro Bowl invite.
He got snubbed. That's what I'm saying. He's a hidden gem. Mm-hmm. When he's on his game, nobody talks about him. They're too busy talking about Rodgers in that division, and they bypass Stafford all the time. And I think Stafford is a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's a consistent 4,000-yard passer, or at least he was. In 2011 to 2017, he had 7 straight 4,000-yard seasons. So that's kind of sloughed off a little bit here recently, but yeah, I mean, Stafford.
But think about it: 3 offensive coordinators gone, whole coaching staff gone. Changes with the playbooks are going to affect the quarterback, especially if the quarterback doesn't know the new plays or the wrinkles or anything, the audibles. They have to learn all that stuff, and to do it 3 consecutive times. They had Patricia, and then who else before him? Who was the other coach? Before Patricia. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a rotating playbook there. It's a rotating offense that they have to learn on the fly, and they can't. You need a consistent offense to run that. Maybe they should hire Jason Garrett as the coordinator. No, never mind.
Didn't they have that guy? The guy who had like no facial expression. What's his name? Caldwell. Jim Caldwell. Was he their coach? Wasn't he? Or Schwartz?
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was before. I don't think before Patricia or after. But
it can't be after Patricia.
No, I'm sorry, not after. Before Patricia. I don't know who it was.
All right. It's either Schwartz or Caldwell. I think it is Caldwell. But anyway, moving on. Where are we at here? It's either the Vikings or the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears. All right, who's your Bear all-timer? There's a lot.
Singletary. I'm going to go with him. Just like Lawrence Taylor, that man is a game changer altogether. You needed a stop, just like Bruce Smith. He's out there, make that stop. You needed a fumble. He's out there trying to strip that ball. So there was never a doubt. And the current player plays just like him, but with much more fire. So.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with Singletary. I went with Sweetness, Walter Payton, who played 13 years in the league, 9 times a Pro Bowler. He's won a Super Bowl. I do know that he's a stat about Walter Payton here is he played 9 playoff games only, and he only scored twice, which is surprising. And remember, the Super Bowl, he didn't score at all. Remember, they gave it to Refrigerator Perry.
That's right.
Matt Suey, I think, scored. I mean, it's like, give it to Payton. Anyway, Walter Payton's my guy. Of course, he's got the Walter Payton Man of the Year award in his honor, named after him. Now, a student of the game.
Test for you, Mr. Analytics.
Sure.
Walter Payton's son, what position did he play? And where did he play?
Well, he went to UM, right? Miami.
Mm-hmm. But where did he play? NFL.
Jarrett Payton. Where did he play?
Yeah.
Was it Tennessee?
Yeah, it was Tennessee. What position?
It wasn't running back, was it? Maybe defensive back?
It was safety, free safety.
Okay. There we go. So did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Jarrett Payton, by the way, was his name. All right. So who's your current Chicago Bear?
Is there any doubt? Trubisky? No, I'm playing. Khalil Mack.
Yeah, I got
The
Khalil Mack as
force
well.
behind that defense.
Yep. 2016 Defensive Player of the Year winner, 5-time Pro Bowler. I mean, he's like as you said, he's a menace in the defense, and if it wasn't for him, where would the Bears be defensively? I'm not sure they would be as highly ranked as they are. So, Khalil Mack is my pick as well.
Awesome. So now we're going off to the purple people eaters of Minnesota.
Who's your all-timer?
Really? I have to give it to Randy Moss. Randy Moss changed the game there. Him and Culpepper changed that whole game. But Moss was a game changer as soon as he came in, an impact player in his rookie season. We passed on him, and it still hurts us to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. Do you know this? Do you know the wide receiver who was selected ahead of Randy Moss in the draft? It was only one. You probably. I mean, it's a trivia question, so you either know it or you don't. But
I don't. My guess is Joey Galloway.
No, not Joey Galloway. He was earlier than that. No, it was Kevin Dyson.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I wouldn't know that.
How about that? First round pick, Kevin Dyson. So anyway, yes, Randy Moss. He's my guy as well. He's my pick as well. He led the league in touchdowns 5 times and receiving touchdowns, including 23 in 2007 with the Patriots, which was arguably the best offensive performance that we've ever seen from any team any time. I would take the 2007 Patriots over the 2019 Chiefs.
Yeah, those.
And if it wasn't for Eli Manning throwing to David Tyree, the Patriots may have won that game and kicked the Miami Dolphins off of the 17-0 championship mantra. So, who knows?
Current player for you.
Current player, Minnesota. I went with Danielle Hunter.
Nice pick.
Defensive end. He has 54.5 sacks in 49 games as a starter. How about that? More sacks than games played.
That kid is a beast.
Yep, absolutely. And he's young.
I like him.
He's young still. I mean, he's had, 3 years? 3 years in the league, I think.
He has that quick step to go around that tackle that I'd never seen before.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's definitely a good one, and he's consistent too. So he's my pick. How about you?
I went with Dalvin Cook. I think he's due for a breakout season again. So he had a good season last year. I think he's due now to turn it around. He's a good option in the backfield for short slants or even halfback toss. So I think he's going to be the guy that's going to impact the game a little bit more. It's going to free up Cousins a little bit more to throw the Thielen. He's a good blocker too. A lot of people don't know that Dalvin Cook could block.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook's a good guess, or a good pick. I don't have a problem there. All right, so that's the NFC North. Let's move to the NFC South. Where should we go first?
Go with your Panthers. Why not?
The Panthers. All right, let's start with you. Who's your all-timer from the Panthers?
Kerry Collins. Hands down. Hands down.
Come on. Let's get real here. Who's your guy?
I just did say Kerry Collins.
Because he went to Penn State.
Come on. No. Julius Peppers.
Okay. That's excellent pick.
Talk about a guy that could come in there and make an impact, even leaving to Green Bay and coming back again and still make an impact for the city of Charlotte, for Carolinas. The man is a monster in that line. He's a monster in the game, and he's a legend in Carolina.
Yeah, nothing wrong there. So Julius Peppers was the second overall pick in the 2002 NFL draft. Do you know who was the first pick?
I hate when you throw me with this. No, I don't.
I'll give you a hint. It was the Houston Texans.
Don't tell me Watts.
No, what? No, it's not him. Quarterback, Houston Texans. No.
Quarterback?
Yeah.
David Carr?
Yes. David Carr. And then it went Peppers. And then it went quarterback again. Joey Harrington.
So, and he went to the Lions.
Yes.
So, David Carr. Where do I start? Horrible quarterback.
I'm just looking at this 2002 draft. I mean, the Panthers hit the ball out of the park. No one else was close. You had Joey Harrington, I just mentioned, Mike Williams, the left tackle with Buffalo, Quentin Jammer, the defensive back, the cornerback with the Chargers, Ryan Sims, Bryant McKinney, left tackle. God. I mean, he was okay, right?
No, McKinney was good, but I'm talking about Jammers.
Roy Williams, the Cowboys.
The safety.
John Henderson, defensive tackle, Jacksonville. Levi Jones in Cincinnati. Then Dwight Freeney. You have to go to pick 11 in that draft to get the next best player, and that's Dwight Freeney. There's just looking at that draft, it's just ugly. But yes, Julius Peppers. I agree with you there. It's either, for me, it's down to him or Steve Smith, and I went with Steve Smith.
I'll even throw another name, Dan Morgan.
Yeah, I mean Morgan. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, Steve Smith. I mean, I think that he's the iconic Panther of all time, in my opinion. He led the league in receptions and receiving yards in 2005. He's had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000-yard seasons. Over almost 15,000 career receiving yards. He's got over 1,000 receptions. I think that's a Hall of Fame type of career, and I hope that he's inducted into the Hall of Fame. He played 13 years in Carolina, 3 in Baltimore. I mean, when I think of Panthers from the past, I think of Steve Smith. So he's my guy. He's my top guy.
Good pick.
All right. How about current Panthers?
Really, is there any doubt?
No.
Is there any doubt?
They're running out of good current players.
Kyle Allen.
He's not even on the team anymore.
Even though he got traded to Washington.
It's
Christian McCaffrey, CMC.
Run CMC. Yes, I agree. I have McCaffrey as well. He's the only player with 2,000-yard rushing and 100 reception seasons that we've ever had. Only one person has done it twice, and that's McCaffrey. He's one of 3 players in NFL history with 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. The others were Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. A lot of people know this. I mean, McCaffrey he's someone that the Panthers are just going to build around, and
hopefully, because they got to pay him this year. This is his contract year.
Not this year. Next year.
That's not this year.
It's not this year. No, but I agree that they do need to pay him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he says, "Well, hold on a minute, I'm not going to play another down until I get a contract extension." And I have a feeling though that that's not going to be an issue. I think they're going to not tag him. They're going to sign him to a contract. He's going to be with the team long term.
And if they don't, Zeke already gave him his travel agent's information, so he could book his trip to Cabo.
Now, I hate to see teams, spend a lot of money on a running back when we saw that with the Rams from Todd Gurley. Look what happened there. Look what Dallas with Elliott. Granted,
but I'm going to tell you this right now with Gurley. Gurley, it's not the running back on this one, because honestly, I think Gurley, they were giving less reps. People, again, McVay came in there with this quick playbook, and this playbook that surprised a lot of defense the first year and shocked a lot of people, and everybody thought this is a building of the next Patriots, but like the NFL is such a quick game, they recover so fast that when they see an offense this good, you're going to have scouts already scouting it. You're going to have teams already building their playbook around it. And that's what happened last year. A lot of teams already knew the schemes they were running. They knew the audibles. They knew everything. So they knew how to defend. They knew how to call the right defensive audibles. They knew how to call the blitz correctly. And it stopped Gurley. It put them down a lot of times that they couldn't use Gurley to his full potential. So I don't think that was the case for Gurley. Yes, he did get paid a lot of money, and with running backs, their shelf lives are really short. They have to maximize their contract as fast as they can. And with CMC, I don't think we're going to see that, because he is one of those players that it's not going to be a 7 to 9 year life expectancy of a halfback. This guy's at least a 12 to 15 year, at least, and with good production.
Yeah, absolutely. And then not only are you getting a running back, you're also getting a wide receiver.
Exactly.
So he's the dual threat option, which I'm so glad that they drafted him. I was a big fan before Carolina selected him. I'm a big fan afterwards. I'd love to meet the guy. I think he's an outstanding citizen. He does the right things. That he's learned from his father. How to carry himself, how to talk to media, how to be a good teammate, all that. And it's just it's the epitome of what we want to see in a player, and I'm glad the Panthers have him. So, excellent. McCaffrey is my guy as well. Let's move on. Atlanta.
You mean Hotlanta?
Hotlanta. This is a tough one for me. If you think about everyone on the Falcons right now, is like you've got Matt Ryan, you've got Julio Jones, you've got who else?
That's it.
Calvin Ridley. You got Calvin Ridley. You've got Deion Jones. Sorry, I was having a little bit of a brain forget session there.
Jeff, you're forgetting we're picking past players right now.
I know. Right. So I'm thinking to myself, who was on the Falcons along? You got
you got the
Steve Bartkowski,
Andre Rison.
Andre Rison, right? You've got Michael Vick. You've got
Sanders.
Right.
So let's look at this.
So who's your guy?
Rison.
Who's your guy?
Andre Rison is I'm not gonna go for my guy yet, but Andre Rison.
He played on too many teams though.
But the thing is with Andre Rison is he loved fires because his house got burned down. Michael Vick he was an animal enthusiast. That's so much that he had to go. Sorry, Peter, but honestly, my guy was the creator of the Dirty Bird. He changed that game. Changed
Jamal
the
Anderson?
Culture. Yeah, he changed the culture in Atlanta.
That's a good call.
They went from a losing team kind of mentality that they were always the bottom, at least the bottom two in their division every year, to a team that had confidence, to a team that had the fans behind them, to a team that could actually run some good plays. And Jamal Anderson was the one that made that.
Yeah,
the Dirty Bird.
That's a good call, and that's a good representation, I think, on what he meant. And didn't they also go to the Super Bowl that year?
Yeah.
When they had Anderson. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys you can go with here, I guess, if you look at that. You got him, you've got Michael Vick, you've got Deion Sanders.
I'll give you a quarterback, Eddie George.
Eddie George?
No, Jeff George. I'm sorry, Jeff George.
Jeff George. Jeff George. He could throw it out of the stadium, but I mean, he wasn't like the most accurate guy.
No, he wasn't, but he had a gun though.
Yes. Chris Chandler, isn't he the one who took him to the Super Bowl?
Chris Chandler.
I went with Roddy White here because I was looking for consistency. And he had 6,000-yard seasons. He led the league in receptions 2010. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He had 7 seasons of 80 catches or more. To me, he was the guy who was the man before Julio Jones came to town. And
yeah, he was.
He's been very consistent. And if once Julio Jones moves on, I mean, he's already ahead of where Roddy White was. However, Jones is still with the team, so I can't choose him. But Roddy White was my pick.
I did that. I did that with J.J. Watts. I picked him for both. Well, no, I didn't pick him for both.
Right. So, all right. So, who's your current Falcon? Who do you got?
Julio Jones, hands down. He's changing that game. He's changing that position altogether, and he's helping Matt Ryan stay in games.
Yeah,
because
I agree there. In fact, I went with Jones myself. 9-year career, 7 times 1,000-yard season, third in receiving yards among active players. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best. 7-time Pro Bowler. Julio Jones. I agree. I mean, you could go Matt Ryan here. He's won an MVP. You know, he's very consistent with his touchdowns and his yards. But to me, Julio Jones is the offense when it comes to the Falcons.
Come on, the guy had 15 receptions and 300 yards in one game
against
more
the
than
Panthers.
300 yards
against the Panthers. Oh, that was a horrible. They got rid of like a couple cornerbacks after that. It was nuts. Okay, so that was Atlanta. What do we got? The Saints. Who's your all-timer for the Saints? Oof. This is a tough one too because everyone's current.
Yeah, that's a little tricky.
I mean, you could go offensive guy here, like a Joe Horn. You've got, which I'm not saying Joe Horn is the best there. I mean, but you've got Marcus Colston. I'm just trying to think of players.
I think offensively. It was mine was the tackle, Wolf. I believe his name was
Wolf.
Wolf, like Teen Wolf.
Oh, Willie Roaf, maybe. Is that
there you go, Roaf.
Willie Roaf. All right, Wolf.
Roaf.
We'll skip over that. Can we edit that?
No, anyway. I don't want to edit. I called him Wolf.
Willie Roaf. Yeah, no, that's a good pick. I mean, that's a good pick.
He was a good tackle.
He was. I don't have the stats in my head here on Willie Roaf.
Yeah, because I was looking up Wolf, but I couldn't find
it. But yes, I went with Ricky Jackson. Remember him?
Vaguely.
No? Vaguely remember him. So Ricky Jackson, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. The thing about Ricky Jackson is he's 10th on the all-time list in forced fumbles. Something to think about there. He had a 15-year career, 13 with the Saints. And he led the league in forced fumbles 4 times. He had 40 in his career. So Ricky Jackson is my pick. All right. How about current Saints? Who do you got? The legend.
I'm not going to give it to him because he's on his way out. Probably this is his final season.
Okay. Tom Brady was on his way out. You gave it to him?
Yeah, I gave it to Tom Brady because Tom Brady, how many Super Bowls has this man won already? The man breeds playoff,
Mm-hmm.
It's like the old Talladega Nights. He pisses excellence when he wakes up. So I give it to the up-and-comer, Mike Thomas. He is a game changer on his own. He's actually he's competing against Julio Jones. He wants to be that best receiver in that division. So that healthy competition that they have between each other, I like, because both of them are always trying to outdo each other.
Okay. Nothing wrong with Mike Thomas. I like your pick there. However, I did go with Drew Brees. I mean, how do you not? Drew Brees, 19-year career. He's the career leader in NFL history in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He's first in career completions per game, 25 completions per game. Completion percentage, 66.6% for his career. 50 game-winning drives, second all-time, and he's a 13-time Pro Bowler. Drew Brees. He's my guy. He's one of my favorite players on a team that is not my favorite team.
Is that your Eagles to my Cowboys?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe. No. I respect the Saints more than I think you respect the Eagles.
Yeah, well, it's the Eagles. What can I say?
All right. Last in the NFC South, the Bucks. Tampa Bay.
Derek Brooks.
Okay. Derek Brooks?
Hands down. Derek Brooks, for that community, that organization, the team, the way he played, everything. Just the persona that Derek Brooks was in Tampa is second to none.
You know what?
I was going to give it to Mike Allstott, but I started looking at more Derek Brooks films, and the guy was, because Mike Allstott reinvented that fullback position too.
Yeah,
so if we're going to talk
did.
about an innovator, that man reinvented that fullback position.
He did, and you know what? I went with Brooks as well. I think that it's not a coincidence that we both picked him. He never missed a game in his 14-year career. 11-time Pro Bowler. He had at least one interception in every year but one that he's been in the league.
Damn.
He had 6 touchdowns, returned for a touchdown, and he had 25 interceptions. So every 1 out of every 4 interceptions he had was a touchdown.
And you
Derek
guys
Brooks.
know I come from Florida. I come from Orlando. So
Yeah.
it's an hour and a half away from Tampa. And to think of an iconic player that resonates all the way to Orlando is just, you have to say, hey, this guy, Derek Brooks, for for that Central Florida towns of Tampa and Orlando and all that Central Florida towns around it, he always helped out. He was always the iconic player there. I gave it to him hands down because of that, because he's changed so much the culture of Tampa that,
Yeah. Yeah, and
I could have gave it to Lynch also, but
yeah, I really like John Lynch too, and
I don't like John Lynch. So
you don't like Lynch?
No.
I mean, you got Warren Sapp in there. We didn't really mention Warwick Dunn, also someone you could mention too. But I'm with you there on Derek Brooks. I'm glad that we both kind of said him at the same time. All right,
I think we're gonna agree. We're gonna agree to the current one too, Mike Evans.
Yep, I had Mike Evans too. And that includes Chris Godwin, but I think Evans just has a little bit better of a resume so far. Godwin may have surpassed him last year, and he might take over again this year. But right now, Evans is he's kind of like the Roddy White to the Julio Jones. I'm not really comparing Chris Godwin to Julio Jones, but it's kind of the same type of situation. Evans got 48 touchdowns in 90 games, 3 times a Pro Bowler, 6,000-yard seasons, and he's had 1,000 yards in every year of his career. So, I mean, how do you go against?
I'm just going to throw this out there for you. Think about this: if DJ Moore has an impact year this year, that he breaks out and has over 1,200 yards receiving, 100 catches, 13 touchdowns, and the other 3 keep doing their thing, that division has the top 4 receivers there.
Yeah. I mean, they really do. Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore. A lot of people are saying that Curtis Samuel is going to get some play here with Joe Brady's offense.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I can't forget Michael Thomas. I have a feeling the Saints are going to draft a receiver. Maybe someone like a Denzel Mims or a Jalen Reagor.
So,
I mean, who knows? But yeah, the NFC South is loaded with receivers, and guess who doesn't have cornerbacks? The Carolina Panthers. Even if they get Jeff Okudah in the first round of the draft, they still are like worst team in the NFC South in terms of corners and secondary. It's like
just face it, Jeff. Panthers are in a rebuild year.
I know. It's you just gotta go with the flow.
The best thing to do right now, if I was the front office, is pay Christian already, get him locked down on a contract, because playing in a team that might be dropping games, because the talent level is not there anymore, could be hard for a player that's such an impact on the game.
Yeah, I know. I hate to think of the Panthers wasting McCaffrey's prime years, but it sounds like you said, though, he could play 12, 14 years, which would be a lot for a running back.
So how many years did Emmitt play? Emmitt Smith played, 14 years?
At least 14 or 15, maybe. 18,000 yards.
So, and he did it. We traded him to Arizona, and he still went to Arizona and played still, and he played good in Arizona too.
Yeah, he did decently. I don't think he had 1,000 yards though.
No, I think the highest was 890, I believe.
Something like that. All right, we're on to the last division here of the NFC West. Let's start with the 49ers. Who's your guy? Who's your past tense guy?
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice, right? It has to be Rice.
Yeah.
How can it be someone else? If it was someone else, who would it be? Before we get to Rice,
Joe Montana.
Montana. So I would pick Steve Young over Montana.
I would. Yeah. Honestly, think about this. Steve Young was good, but Montana held that team. And I know all this stuff that they traded him from the Bucks to get Young, and then that monkey off my back kind of thing. Young was a different type of player in that position. He was more mobile than Joe Montana was, but I think a guy that you knew needed a good throw or you needed a throw deep, Montana will get you that before he got injured. And Jerry Rice was always there. Taylor was there. So I disagree with Steve Young. I don't think Steve Young played enough as a 49er to be that. Even Jeff Garcia played more than Steve Young.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think that's accurate. I don't have the knowledge right now to go up and check it. I can look, but I think Young played more seasons with the 49ers than Jeff Garcia, but
I think Jeff Garcia did 5, right?
Yeah, Young did more than 5 years.
Let's see, Jeff Garcia.
All right, I'm looking at Steve Young. Steve Young played as a starter. Let's see here. Game started 1991, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight seasons as a starter. The last season, he only started 3 games. I think he got hurt. How many did Garcia have?
Garcia only played from 99 to 2003.
All right, so Young has more time in San Francisco, right? Did I win that argument?
Yes. Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Man, all right, this guy is like a traveler as a quarterback. He went from 49ers to the Browns to the Lions to the Eagles to Tampa to Raiders to Eagles to, oh my God.
Wow. Dude, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
All right, Jerry Rice. Just looking at him, man. 1,549 career receptions for 22,895 yards. He played 21 years in the league. That's some longevity right there. And he had 197 receiving touchdowns. I think he had more here rushing. Let's take a look. I don't have his rushing stats offhand. Let's see, rushing. If I could find his rushing stats. It's not easily found. Anyway, Jerry Rice, the all-timer. Here he is, rushing touchdowns. Oh, wow. Did he not have any rushing touchdowns?
I don't think he ever did, though.
No, he did not. He only had 7 rushes in his entire career. 7! I think Curtis Samuel had like 20 rushes last year. Anyway, how about that? There's a stat for you. How many rushing touchdowns did Jerry Rice have? He had 0. At least according to Pro Football Reference here. But anyway, we're getting away from ourselves. We both had Rice. How about the current 49ers?
I'm going to give it to Kittle.
Okay.
He is definitely a wide receiver at that tight end position. He is a Tony Gonzalez type player that could change the game. He's an Antonio Gates type player. So that man with the right coaching could be a great tight end.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against Kittle. 85 and 88 catches in the last 2 years. Shoot. And maybe if there's one guy I could pick ahead of him, it would be Nick Bosa. We already talked about the Bosa boys. I really like Nick Bosa. He only had 9 sacks last year, but I think next year we could see him get like 14, 15 sacks.
Oh, no, I agree. And it was between Bosa for me and Kittle. But Kittle, I think, made more of an impact in the last 2 years than Bosa did last year. So, and, he was playing with heart in the Super Bowl. So,
All right, good. It seems like we agree there, both on Rice and on Kittle, with honorable mention to Nick Bosa. Let's go to Seattle.
This was a toss-up because there's so many players there that could have been, and you remember the old Seattle teams that were bad, and you had the Joey Galloways, But I'm going to give it to Sean Alexander on this one.
Okay. Sean Alexander was outstanding when he was healthy, and then he kind of fell off the face of the earth. But yeah, Sean Alexander, you kind of forget about him as one of the all-time running backs back in what was it, late 90s late 90s or early 2000s? I'm trying to remember exactly
around that same time frame,
what his time frame was, but in fact, let me do some quick looking up here of Sean Alexander.
Sean Alexander, Jamal Anderson were in the same time period. Jerome Bettis.
2000 to 2008 was his range.
Eddie Georges.
He had let's see, he had 5 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons from 2001 to 2005. He had 27 touchdowns, 1,800 yards rushing in 2005.
That's the year that he broke Emmitt Smith's record.
How did he not win the MVP that year?
I think LT had 28, I believe.
Oh no, he did win NFL. He did win the NFL MVP in 2005. So there it is. There you have it. So yeah, Sean Alexander. That's a good pick. I went with old timer Steve Largent, and he's a Hall of Famer. He's won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. He's got 13,000 receiving yards, 100 touchdowns, and 800 receptions. He's one of 8 players with that range: 13,000 yards, 100 touchdowns, and 800 receptions. Steve Largent, 7-time Pro Bowler. I don't think I mentioned that, but yeah. And if I remember right, I think when he ended his career, he had the most touchdowns for a receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even receiving yards, because he was done before Rice.
Yeah.
Started, or at least it was really close to it. But yeah, Steve Largent.
That could be it, because that I will believe that, because Largent was a good player, a really good player.
Let's see. He ended his career in 1989. Okay, and Rice came in 86, 85. But he could have conceivably had more receptions and receiving yards than anyone in the league at that time for a career. I think that's the case. But anyway, Seattle. Who's your current?
There's no doubt, Russell Wilson. The guy is an amazing quarterback. To think that he was bypassed also, just like good old Mahomes, he was bypassed also, and look how great he turned out.
Well, Jacksonville took a punter ahead of him in the NFL draft. What was
Talk
it?
about having a chip on your shoulder for that.
Yeah, no kidding. I agree. Russell Wilson's my pick too. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He almost won 2 if it wasn't for Malcolm Butler. And 6-time Pro Bowler, and he's been in the league 8 years. That's pretty outstanding resume right there.
Yeah. And to think about it, the only 2 teams, Patriots and the Seahawks, that have a revolving carousel of receivers.
You mean it just changes all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's not a true number 1 in that Seahawks offense as a number 1 receiver. They're all getting their fair share from Russell.
Yeah,
and he finds them.
You've got Tyler Lockett. Of course, you have DK Metcalf. Doug Baldwin was there, but prior, who got a lot of play. So yeah, that's an interesting comparison. Good take. All right, moving on from Seattle, let's go to
the Fire Cell Rams.
All right, we'll go with the Rams. Who's your all-timer?
Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner.
It's a toss-up between him and Folk, but I went Kurt.
Kurt Warner, last player to win both the MVP and the Super Bowl MVP in the same year, 1999. Yeah, I mean, that whole stretch from 99, 2001, I mean, Kurt Warner was the best quarterback, or very close to it, in the league. So, I mean, he definitely put his stamp on the league in that time frame. So yeah, Kurt Warner's a great pick there. Also took the Cardinals to a Super Bowl, and if it wasn't for Santonio Holmes, we'd be talking about the Arizona Cardinals being Super Bowl champs. Honestly, which is just crazy. But who did I go with? I went with. Let's see, who did I pick? Oh, I took Isaac Bruce.
Ooh.
Isaac Bruce. He's only one of 4 players to have 15,000 yards receiving and 1,000 receptions. Do you know who the other 4 receivers are? 15,000 receiving yards and 1,000 receptions.
Rice.
Yep.
Marvin Harrison.
No.
Ooh.
He didn't have 15,000 receiving yards.
15,000.
The other 2 were NFC players from the NFC. Actually, they're all from the NFC.
From the Central?
No. Well, NFC East as well as, well, he played for a couple different teams. There's your hint. But then the NFC West.
It's not Monk, right?
No way. Monk,
No, I'm stumped on those 2.
So you got Jerry Rice, Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Owens, and Isaac Bruce. The only 4 players with 1,000 receptions and 15,000 receiving yards. And Isaac Bruce just getting the short end of the stick there. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
And just an FYI, Terrell Owens still looks like he can play.
Yes, he does. As does Cam Newton, but that's a story for another day. We know Cam can play. Who's your current LA Ram player?
Donald.
Aaron Donald. Totally agree there.
The man that just stops is the heart of that defense too. So
he was the defensive rookie of the year. He's a 2-time defensive player of the year. He's got 72 sacks in 92 games. Shoot. He has what? Go ahead.
No, I said the guy could play.
Oh yeah, he can play. He definitely can play. Only Ndamukong Suh has more quarterback hits than Aaron Donald, and this is among defensive tackles. And Suh's played 64 more games than Donald, which is just crazy. So Aaron Donald, he's almost a Hall of Famer right now.
Yeah, no, he's very close to it.
he's in my opinion. He would have to have an absolute
breakdown
train wreck of a career right now in order for him not to be in the Hall of Fame. But
so speaking of train wreck, which Panther player had the train wreck career and had a promising career in the defensive line?
Defensive line?
Release the Kraken was his slogan, I believe.
Oh, Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy. You're talking about Hardy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg Hardy. We try not to remember Greg Hardy and the pain he caused, but hey, whatever. People are people. They're not just football players, and he just wasn't a fit with the Jerry Richardson Panthers, but he was with the Jerry Jones Cowboys, which is
Hey, we take everybody. We take anybody and anybody.
You do. All right, so we got one more team left. The Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going to go old school because he changed the mentality of the NFL. This was a mentality of the NFL to allow high school players to come in and play also back in the day, in the early 90s. I'm going to go with Eric Swan, a good defensive tackle.
Oh, wow. Wow, I was not thinking that at all, but that's interesting. I guess I need to follow up a little bit more on my Eric Swan knowledge. I went with Aeneas Williams.
I like Aeneas Williams, but I think this kid, Swan, came in at 18 years old? No, I think just turned 18. Joined the NFL straight out of high school. And
wait, don't you have to have 3 years out of high school in order to be in the NFL? Wasn't that the rule? Isn't that the rule?
No, I think it's college now. I think they changed it back to college.
I don't know about
I
that.
haven't seen anybody else come out of high school to play football, and I don't think
No.
we're scouting just like the NBA scouts high school players.
Uh-huh.
The NFL does not scout. I think that's been a rule change for a while.
I'm not sure about that one.
We're gonna have to go into the rule books on
We're
that
gonna
one.
have to check that one. I'm not sure about that, but I went with Aeneas Williams here. 8-time Pro Bowler, 55 career interceptions, 20th all time. Here's the
Hell of
thing
a
about
cornerback.
Aeneas Williams too. He had 13 non-offensive touchdowns, which is the most, or fifth most all time. So he had like 9 interceptions for a touchdown. Yeah, I don't remember, 2 fumbles for a touchdown, something else. But Aeneas Williams is my pick. And here's the thing: the Cardinals don't really have a whole lot of. I mean, you've got Larry Fitzgerald, who's like an all-timer, right? But he's current. I mean, who else do you have? You've got Dan Deerdorf. You've got Jim Hart, the former quarterback. Neil Lomax. I mean, who else are we picking here?
It's just like the Dolphins. Just a question mark.
I don't know. I don't know who to go with. So Aeneas Williams was my pick. Hopefully, we both have the same guy as far as present Cardinals. Who do you have?
I didn't go with Larry Fitzgerald. He's on his way out. I went with Kyler Murray.
You went with Kyler Murray. Okay. Well, tell me why you like Murray so much.
He had a good season last year. Not the greatest season, but he had a good rookie season, rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He turned a lot of heads. And now with the weapons that they have, I think they're going to have a better season, a better running back than David Johnson, I'm sorry. And I think it's his year now to prove what he does in the passing game. Just like Lamar Jackson needs to prove his passing skills, Kyler Murray needs to prove it too.
Yeah, with Kenyon Drake and of course DeAndre Hopkins. I mean,
yeah, and Larry Fitzgerald. So
and Fitzgerald still. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting offense. A lot of people are comparing, because of his size, Kyler Murray to Russell Wilson. In that they both kind of have that elusive ability outside of the pocket, can throw on the run. Both play baseball careers. You throw in that throw from short to first. I think we see that both in Russell Wilson as well as Kyler Murray. I did not choose Kyler Murray, though. I went with Fitzgerald. And, the reason why is because, he's just been in the league for so long. And he is one of 2 players to have 17,000 receiving yards, and him and Jerry Rice. That's it. One of 2 players to have over 1,300 receptions. It's Jerry Rice and Larry Fitzgerald, and that's it.
He's an iconic player, no doubt. But he's on his way out. I'm talking about the present that's going to change the game now, and I think that he handed that to Kyler Murray. So Fitzgerald already handed the reins to him, and I think it's his year to prove it. So we'll see.
Yep, we shall see. Well, that pretty much ties a bow on our NFC our players. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I mean, it took 2 hours for us to go through all of this, but I think it was worth it. And hopefully.
And you mentioned it was going to be short and sweet.
Well, I don't know if I said that, but yeah, we appreciate you guys watching, listening, and viewing. Continue to do so. Give us a follow and subscribe. We've just recently kind of started the show here on YouTube, so we're young and we're growing. But we're looking forward to it. Next week, we've got John Chapman, who will be joining us to talk about the NFL draft, some draft prospects, focusing more on the Panthers here and, who they might target at 7, at 38, what their picks are, 69. I can't wait to talk to him just to learn more about the some of these prospects and see what he has to say. I know a good bit of information about these players, but I'm sure his knowledge will come in handy and be helpful for us to just kind of talk about players and such, and who the Panthers might target, who other teams might target, and just kind of go from there. So definitely looking forward to that. Thanks again for watching. Joey, you got any last words?
I'm just saying, guys, keep safe. Stay indoors. If you don't need to go out, don't go out. Just keep safe and keep watching us. We're here to pass the time with you guys. So, like he said, we're new. Jeff is right. We're new. We're trying this YouTube thing. hopefully, you guys enjoy it. If you don't, let us know. If you guys want to see something different, definitely let us know.
If you do like it, let us know. If you don't, you can still let us know. Of course, we appreciate that. And thanks so much. And we will see you next week.
Same time. Have a good one.